Welcome, my friends. Silouan here. Today, I'm going to talk about what you might be wondering, how am I going to get from here to here? But I'm talking about youth sports, playing time, and life. That's right. Youth sports, playing time, and life. And when I get to the life part, you will see how this applies to all of us. And the leadership classes that I teach go all around the country. Last month, I was with all the sergeants of the Arizona State Police. End of this month, I'm going to be with the Marine Corps out at Camp Lejeune with one of their elite units. I'm looking very forward to that. And oftentimes, one of the things I bring up is the book, Extreme Ownership, written by Jocko Willink, a great guy. I'm sure if you're seeing me, you've watched his podcast or you've heard about him. But one of the concepts in Extreme Ownership, written by Jocko Willink, who is the commander of the most decorated Navy SEAL unit in Iraq, an awesome dude, is this. As a leader, and I would argue as a human being, it's really easy to get caught up in this cycle where things aren't going the way I want, and there are a lot of easy targets that I can blame for it. And you might even be right about it. And it might be something like, I can't get done what I want because of the people that I work with. I can't get done what I want because of the people that I lead aren't high enough quality. I can't get done what I want because of what my boss does. I can't get done what I want because of what the coach does. I can't get done you name it. The problem with that is, though, you don't control them ultimately. You will spend a lot of energy complaining and trying to control them when really your total focus should be on yourself. Extreme ownership is about you own it. And that ultimately, whether it's a leadership situation or it's a life situation, your move should be one thing. What can I control? What can I focus on? Everything else is wasted energy and typically makes things worse. Now that is hard for a number of reasons. It's hard because, as I've talked about a lot, our pride gets in the way, our ego gets in the way. We don't want to be humble enough to look in the mirror and be honest about what we need to work on. Also, we like complaining. We're in a society of finger pointers. We're in a society where everybody, it seems like, their main issue is pointing a finger at somebody else and going, if they changed and if they were different, I would be okay. And the reason that is because anger is empowering. Fear is empowering when you let it. Looking in the mirror is hard, but it's your only move. Now, let's get to youth sports and playing time. You see a lot of ugliness in youth sports. I've been a coach in the youth sports programs for years. The kids, 95% of the time, 99% of the time are fine. It's the parents. And why is it the parents? Because they do the opposite of extreme ownership. Opposite. Bad parents take zero ownership and they blame everything for what's going on with their kid on the other team, on the teammates, on the coaches. And when they do that, what are they doing? They're teaching their kids to do the same thing. And then you get a bunch of entitled kids, whether they're the best player on the team or the worst player on the team. And then they come home and they complain to their parents, and their parents fuel it. You're right, it is the coach. You're right, it was that referee. You're right, it is that other player. And here's the thing about that. That could all be true. But so what? You know what's going to get you better? You know what's going to improve your situation? Work harder. Go out in the gym, okay? I've coached youth sports for a long time, okay? There might be a few episodes a kid was in the doghouse. There might be an episode where you had like 4 kids and they were all equal ability and someone had to pick one. I've never played another team where a kid who was obviously, objectively better than the other kids on the court and didn't get in the game. Never. They want to win. Now, again, there might be situations you got like 4 kids on the bench and they're kind of the same, and maybe they got to pick wide to put one in ahead of the other, and it's kind of arbitrary, but that's different, okay? You're not playing as much as you want. It's usually because of you, and that is life. We usually end up where we end up, and we all got bad circumstances hitting against us. It's interesting looking back over the many years that I've coached in youth sports, and I look at the issues that really blew up, and the interesting thing is every single one of them comes down to playing time. Now here's the funny thing. As a coach, I'll spend all summer thinking about how do I rank these kids? Who's going to play what? What is best for the team? I'm looking at every kid, every circumstance, okay? We got open gyms all summer. I will tell those kids all summer, hey, if you want to play more, here's what you want to work on. You know who you never see at those open gyms? The parents. The parents. They have no clue. You think the kids go home and tell them the truth? Then you come to the season, then you're trying to do the same thing. And inevitably, one of those kids, almost without fail, that you were telling, you need to do this, and it might be a really good kid that you're like, hey, if you want to score more points, you need to work on this. It might be a bad kid. Hey, you're not going to play much unless you work on this. Inevitably, 100% of the time, those are the ones who are complaining. And then their parents come in, and it gets ugly. And all you're sitting there saying, I mean, the funny thing is what I've learned is I keep track of all that stuff. And I'll sit there and I'm like, well, here's what I told them to work on over the summer. Think back to Jocko Willink, what can you work on? And they'll look at you with like a blank face. But it's not fair, that he's older than this other kid, or, he's a senior and this other kid's a sophomore, or whatever, their crazy excuse may be. But isn't that life? That's why I love sports, because isn't that life? Think of the time we waste, the energy that we spend complaining about other people, pointing fingers at other people, when really what you need to be doing is just hunkering down. There's a, kind of a philosophy going around now. A lot of young people are into it. The whole, chop wood. Chop wood. Amen, man. That's what they did 100 years ago. Chop wood. You got energy, you got anger, go out and chop some wood. Okay? But that would go for anything in life. You don't think you're playing enough? Go chop some wood. Go do some wind sprints in the yard. Come to practice and you be the first one. You're at work, you don't like your boss. Be the first one at work. Be the last one to leave. Go out of your way to help them. That's your only move. That is your only move. If you let that boss's behavior impact you, you become as bad as the boss. You use those coworkers you don't like, you use those other people that you don't like, and you use them as a reason, come to work late, leave work early, don't work so hard at work. Guess what, my friend? You are them. Same thing in a marriage. You got a spouse. Maybe they're going through a tough time. Maybe they're not loving you like you want to be loved. Maybe they're not, giving you the sugar like you want. Okay? Look in the freaking mirror, man. Bring home flowers. Hug them. Kiss them. Forgive them. Do all those things you need to be doing. Because all you're going to do when you let their behavior impact yours, and you're the one going, what's wrong with you? And why don't you do this for me? And why don't you love me more? And, why aren't you more affectionate? You're them. You're them, man. You were them. And it's easy to see, things like youth sports blow up on YouTube, and you see some parent tackle a referee, or you see some kid upset because he didn't play more. And then just step back sometimes and look at your own life and realize, man, how many times do I do that in my own life? And it might just be I'm having a bad day and I'm in the checkout line at a grocery store and the person working there is having a bad day, and I'm thinking, well, what's your problem, checkout person? You're here to serve me. And then maybe you stop to think in that moment, well, maybe it's me. Maybe because they've seen a lot of people like me come through the line. Maybe they've seen a lot of people coming through the line who are having a bad day, and they're taking it out on them, and that's why they're having a bad day. And you know what I'm going to do? I don't care what your attitude is. Hey, thank you so much. How are you doing? How's your shift going? You know what I've always found? There's a Kroger's going out of town to my house. And a lot of times that's where I'll stop, pick up groceries on the way home, because when you got a family the size of mine, you go through a lot of groceries, okay? So it seems like I'm always stopping there. And what I'll notice is, it's a tough job. You work in that checkout line, you got a lot of people coming through there, you're serving people, and inevitably, no matter what the attitude is of that person behind the line, no matter what their age is, if I'm nice to them, if I'm like, hey, thank you, how's your day? They almost always change their attitude, and you see it in their face, like 100% of the time. You know what? Because at the end of the day, they're a human being. And at the end of the day, everybody else going through that line is forgetting what their day's been like. And we project, we vomit, we infect other people with our own negativity. But you can also do that the opposite way. You can impact them when they're with your own objectivity, your own positiveness. Okay, you can lay it on them. Hey, I know subjectively you've had a bad day, but objectively, aren't we glad that we're alive? Aren't we glad that we're here and we got a Kroger's to go to? Hey, it's okay. You got a job, I got a job, I'm buying groceries from you, it's all right. You know, that may seem kind of quaint and simple, but have that attitude. And you, parents with your kids, do the same thing. Man, you got a team to play on. You got a coach willing to coach you. You have an opportunity to improve. You have an opportunity to learn lessons that are going to help you in life. Guess what, Johnny? You don't play a lot because you're not any good. But you're learning to work hard. And you're learning what it takes to be good. And maybe what you're going to be good at is editing video. Or maybe what you're going to be good at is finance. Or maybe what you're going to be good at is being a good dad or being a good mom. And you can learn to not complain and not point fingers through sports, through life. So own it, my friends. Teach your kids to own it. And remember, if you're using other people's shortcomings to make excuses for yourself, if you're teaching your kids to point fingers at others for their ability or lack of ability, you're the problem. You're the problem. But guess what? That's where freedom starts. That's the beauty of extreme ownership. Because when you are able to look in the mirror and go, I'm the problem, and what am I going to do about it? Your whole world opens up. You meet every day with an attitude of what am I going to do and where am I going to go and how am I going to impact it myself? And then you're teaching your kids to do it. You're teaching your coworkers to do it. You're teaching your friends to do it. Every day you're getting just progressively a little bit better. So my friends, don't be that bad youth sports parent. Don't be that constant complainer online, looking for comments to negate. You be the one who owns it. You be the one who lifts people up. You be the one who shows people that no matter what your circumstances are, you decide what your attitude's going to be. And make it one that builds people up, doesn't break people down. And every day, you're taking one step forward towards where you want to go. I'm Silouan. Great to be with you. Thanks for joining me today. Peace.